of questioning of him and inspecting his vehicle, the campus police took him downtown and booked him and confiscated all of his weapons. Again, fortunately, all of this was done with absolutely no shots fired in any way, shape, or fashion at that point in time. Chief Cherry pulled into the discussions after having arrested and secured and documented all of the arsenal that were available in his vehicle, pulled into the Greensboro Police Department, the FBI, the ATF, as well as the SBI to assist us in the investigations. Now, it's important to recognize that we were not under any circumstances aware of his affiliations in any way, shape, or fashion, but we were determined to ensure that he was fully prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, given his presence on our campus with a variety of weapons as well. Now, as Chief Cherry created the case for his arrest in partnership with Greensboro Police Department and the district attorney, we also realized that we need to ensure that there was a significant level of evidence that we hoped would put Mr. Bentley away for some time. Now, after the initial encounter with Mr. Bentley, there was no ongoing threat to our campus. And per our process for issuing alerts, alerts are only issued when there is imminent danger to our campus community, to faculty, staff, or our students. And we found there was no imminent danger. So no alert was submitted at this point. However, we should recognize, however, that we have shared with the campus the basic facts, and we should have done that. We should have absolutely have done that. Chief Cherry and I accept responsibility for not doing so at least the day after the event when Mr. Bentley appeared in court for the first time. We, however, based on our conversations with the police department, with the SBI and the FBI, realized that there was an ongoing investigation and that we needed to make sure that we understood all aspects of affiliation with Mr. Bentley. Was he a member of any other hate groups? Was there any other facts that we should be aware of before we move forward with significant prosecution with Mr. Bentley? Mr. Bentley, now keep in mind that he had been permanently banned from our campus. And of course, we were significantly aware of who he was, and we ensured that we were on alert to keep him away from our campus as well. Now, while we did not make the announcement at that time, it was our intent to do so. Following his first day in court and the like, again, waiting for some guidance from the FBI and SBI. But again, we didn't do so until the story became available to the media. We began to realize that it was important for us to begin to surface, without exception, a message to our campus community and our broader community as well, which we did. Now, again, our alert system does not call for us to make such an announcement, and our policies don't include making such announcements under these circumstances. But what I'm asking is our general counsel, Mr. Holloway, to work with our chief of police and representatives from our student groups, as well as our faculty and staff, to ensure that we, under similar such circumstances in the future, never pause to ensure that we communicate appropriately at the right instance in time matters of this nature. We understand the reaction from our campus, from our alumni and members of this community, that this individual, from your lens and most individuals' lens, could have posed a threat to not only our community, but our campus community as well. And we will ensure in the future that such communications are appropriately shared with all of our constituency. Now, we've heard from a broad array of parents and alumni and students from our community as well. But I assure you, based on all of our interactions with Mr. Bentley, he was deemed to have posed no threat to our campus once he was arrested. Keep in mind as well, Chief Cherry worked extensively with the district attorney as well as with the Greensboro Police Department to bring forward all of the critical evidence so that we could ensure that we could maximally prosecute him to the greatest extent of the law. The initial bail was set at $75,000, which concerned us. And as Chief Cherry added additional facts to the case, we brought forward 6 charges in particular. We've supported 6 felonies, 3 misdemeanors ranging from possession of a firearm on educational property to unlawful carrying of a concealed weapon. And in his court date on Monday the 27th, the district attorney joined us in encouraging the judge to raise the bail. It was incremented to $100,000 based upon the facts of the case. And unfortunately, we cannot see it raised any more than that. And unfortunately, Mr. Bentley and his family posted his bail shortly thereafter. Now, again, no evidence of danger to the campus, no imminent danger, so no communications were sent. We should have done so. We take responsibility for not having done so earlier and would ensure that in the future, under similar such circumstances, we will not allow such events to cause us not to keep our campus community highly informed about such matters on our campus. Thirdly, and during that same weekend, there was an incident that occurred on that campus where several shots were fired, 3 striking a parked vehicle on that campus. The university issued an alert on that evening. It was also a late evening event as well. Little traffic on our campus. Chief Police Cherry is still investigating this matter. No one has been brought to justice for that incident, but again, an alert was issued. And lastly, we were aware this past Thursday, a person called the campus police and indicated that there was an individual on our campus with an automatic weapon around our university's outside basketball courts. Our chief of police and his officers responded instantaneously to that call, ultimately quickly realizing that this was a rumor and there was no evidence of anyone on our campus with a weapon. This incident had nothing to do with Mr. Bentley, although some have aligned it with his arrest and that incident on our campus. It had nothing to do with Mr. Bentley's arrest the previous weekend on our campus by any measure. As it turned out, though, nonetheless, our partners at Greensboro Police Department came to the campus because they had been monitoring the false alert. And as a result of this, we were pleased that our partners arrived on our campus to assist us. But again, this was a false alarm. We as a campus made a decision to issue a response to this false alarm by posting a notice to the campus that it was indeed a false alarm. We transmitted that false alarm notice through social media as well as through our campus email system as well to all of our faculty, staff, and our students as well. Now, unfortunately, these independent events having had nothing to do with one another have been merged into continuing discussions about the campus as well. So I want to clarify that neither of those events had anything to do with one another. Now, again, we normally send out alerts for only events where there's imminent danger. This false alarm, we discovered to be a false alarm, so there were no alerts sent. Now, finally, I want to say a few words about the campus safety in general. Our university is a very safe campus, and it continues to be extraordinarily safe as an environment for our students, our faculty, and our staff to socialize, to work, and to study and enjoy this campus community. I encourage you to visit our Jean Clary Act report that appears on our website. We are all, as universities, required to report for a common set of indicators of crime associated with our universities every year. And you'll find that this report, within the perimeters of our university, there are minimal crimes impacting our students outside of modest levels of assaults or drug sales or events and petty thefts, breaking and entering in one's cars. These tend to be student-on-student crimes. We have been very fortunate to keep off the perimeter of our campus any major crimes around the periphery of our university with our university police in partnership with the Greensboro Police Department, as well as the university's partnership with the Gifford County Sheriff's Department as well. Most of the incidents around the perimeter of the campus and beyond stem from regular arrests of speeding vehicles or suspicious vehicles in and around the university, periphery, or in the community as well. The University Police Department handles these very difficult matters very, very timely and significantly. These traffic stops typically end up leading to arrests for individuals who tend to have drugs beyond a certain quantity in their possession or weapons in their possession in close proximity to our university as well. It is important to note that I've instructed and worked very closely with Chief Cherry and his officers with the oversight of Mr. Robert Pompey, our Chief Business Officer, to ensure that we keep those elements of crime away from this campus community. Now, that means that they have to do their jobs. They have to engage in traffic stops and assessing circumstances where there are indications of suspicion. And in this instance, Mr. Bentley was arrested because he came around the periphery of our campus. He was picked up by our campus police and personnel, and he was arrested because we stopped him and through further inspection realized that he presented a danger potentially to our campus community. Now, again, when you take those independent cases, I want to make sure that you are clear on the independence of those incidents and why we may have sent alerts and why we may have not engaged in sending alerts across our campus. But we think it's critically important that you recognize that within our campus, where I have seen lots of discussions about the campus safety and lack of safety, we are amongst one of the safest universities within the UNC system and across the nation. The facts bear that out. I cannot stress that enough. The facts bear that out. What we deal with on an ongoing basis is what all of our communities are dealing with in all of our universities, public and private, here in North Carolina and across the nation as a whole, is the rising level of unrest within our communities, driven by social injustice concerns, driven by political differences across our nation as well. And it is the intent of this university and to ensure that we're keeping those kinds of elements away from our students on this campus, as well as our faculty and our employees as well. We encourage you as well to help us in this collaborative effort to keep our campus safe. That includes our students and our faculty and our staff, as well as parents and members of this community and alums as well. You see something, report something. We encourage you to not ignore those instances where you believe something is going on. We've had a number of situations where friends of the university, our students and our employees have referred situations to our campus police, and they have responded immediately to those circumstances. And where there were instances that appeared to be circumstances that created concerns for the campus, we've issued alerts. When they have not caused concerns for issuing alerts, we've not done so. When it required arrests, arrests have been made to ensure that those individuals who appeared to create harm or concern or intended to create harm or danger were arrested and were prosecuted as well. Again, if you see something, report something. We also encourage you to sign up for our university's Aggie Alert system. It is a very robust system. When we sense that something needs to be communicated to our campus community and to our parents, we communicate that out through our Aggie Alert system. It impacts through emails, it impacts through social media, and through text messages as well. Most of our students are currently registered through Aggie Alert, and we encourage those of our students who are not registered to do so. We encourage parents. You are also able to sign up for our Aggie Alert system as well. To do so, as shared with you in the slide that is currently available on the screen. We encourage you, if you don't get the information, you have troubles doing so, that you reach out to our campus community as well. And I'll share additional information for you to be able to do so in a few moments. For any of you who see something and need to report something or need to contact our university's law enforcement, we encourage you to contact the University Police Department. Contact our Chief of Police, Jermaine Cherry, and his staff. The communications information and contact information are shared here as well. His office does not turn off the telephones, as someone has suggested they do. They answer all calls, and all calls are returned by the chief and members of his staff. Many of them are returned by Chief Cherry. And so those rumors suggesting that our campus university police are not responsive are simply rumors. I know for a fact because anytime I call the university police, they respond. Any members of my staff or any members of this community call the university police, the university police always responds. Parents, you may also contact our university's Division of Student Affairs. If you have questions about policies, you have questions about our system, our university's judicial system, or you want to engage more with the campus, you may contact our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Dr. Melody Pierce, or our Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Development, Dr. Don Murphy. Their contact information is also shared here on the screen. And all of this information will be made available and is currently available on our university's website. And we'll make sure that these slides are made available in a very easy to find location so that you could contact the university as well. Our alumni, you're also encouraged when you have questions as presidents of your respective chapters, or if you're contacted as an alum, or if you are a parent of one of our current students and you have concerns as well, you may also contact our Division of University Advancement through our Vice Chancellor for University Advancement, Ken Sigmund, and the Associate Vice Chancellor for Alumni Relations, Crystal Williams Boyce. Their contact information is also available on the screen as well. So let me be clear again. I don't like the cliche that the campus safety is a top priority. It is represented in the evidence of our behavior. You look at the results of the campus safety on this campus, the responsiveness of our University Police Department to incidents that occur, the regular and routine heavy levels of patrols around our campus and within the campus parameters. Now, parents, your desire for intensity of patrols are consistent with those of our University of Police Chief Cherry and mine. Now, what we try to manage is our students, your children, your sons and daughters, don't like the heavy-handedness of the presence of campus police. While I hear our students share that message through our student leadership and through our student forums, it is difficult to say to our students, I hear you on one hand, your safety is more important on the other. While we try to manage and balance the heavy-handedness of the presence of campus security personnel, we also are making it clear to our students that their safety is a priority. And while we want to make sure that we keep the interior of our campus safe for all of us, we also are making it very clear to those individuals out in the community who believe that they can come to this campus and commit crimes, breaking and entering our students' vehicles, their residence halls, or selling drugs or assaulting our students, that they have to deal with our campus police, because we're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior on this campus. And again, that's evident in the presence of our campus police and our security personnel. And it's evident in the results of the reports that we have to file, like all other institutions of higher education, as part of the Clery Act, as part of the federal requirements for our university. You can see the evidence of the low crime rates of our university within this campus community. So I encourage you to go see those reports. I encourage you to be ever vigilant about signing up for Aggie alerts. I also encourage you to, if you see something, say something. And I encourage you, before something happens, to always be in contact with the university in those various offices that we share the contact information for as well. We also encourage you at all costs, don't become part of the rumor mill. Now, we have a responsibility for ensuring that we are regularly communicating the facts and addressing rumors about campus safety for this university. And so if there are things you hear and you know they don't make sense, don't continue to share the rumors. But if you need clarity, reach out so that we can clarify those facts. When you call my office, my staff is well briefed and they answer those calls, and they appropriately, if they can't appropriately provide the necessary responses to you, they will appropriately pass you to someone else on this campus who have additional facts to share with you. They never drop you. They never leave you without ensuring that we believe you're in a good place relative to the concerns that you may raise. So we want to make sure that one of the emails that we received was about a parent who suggested that the police office cuts its phones off and doesn't return telephone calls. That's just simply not true. That really is not true. We have regular forums with our students on this campus every semester. And you're welcome to join those forums and talk to your sons and daughters who are students on this campus about those forums and the agenda and the content of those forums. It's about campus safety and other aspects of activities that are important for our students to know. There's also suggestion that there is a desire to cover up information. That's the least of the concerns of our university. Sometimes I believe we share far too much information too often that it becomes so pertinent relevant information that we believe that students should be hearing on a regular basis. If we share it too often, it begins to be ignored. So we have to balance how we share information, through what vehicle and mechanism we share that information on a regular basis as well. So I want to stop there. Chief Chair and I are absolutely going to answer the questions that are being raised, that have been stood up in the Q&A. Mr. Todd Simmons, our Associate Vice Chancellor of University Relations, will assist us in managing the questions. And again, we will seek to respond to those as appropriate through our Q&A session with you at this moment. And I'm hoping that I'm answering most of the concerns and questions that most parents and our faculty and staff and our students may have. We are focused on ensuring that we all have a safe environment to work and engage and play and socialize in an effective way at this university. So Todd, I'm going to turn it over to you, and Chief Cherry and I will make ourselves available for appropriate questions. Thank you.
Chancellor, thank you very much. And we want to thank everybody who's watching this on Zoom as well as on YouTube for all of your great questions that are coming in. We've got pages and pages of them. We won't be able to get to all of them, but we will answer as many of them as we can. The first questions have to do with the area where the shooting took place last night, just off campus, off Sullivan Street, in an area that people often refer to as the Cottages, the white one-story structures that are just adjacent to campus there. And I'll ask for some of our cabinet members to help weigh in here to support Chancellor and Chief Cherry in providing answers to these. There are several questions that just have to do with the general environment of safety around the cottages. Questions like, can we ensure that only students are living in off-campus housing intended for A&T students? Noting that break-ins in homes and cars have been reported in that area, as well as some of the more tragic incidents that have taken place there, and asking whether we can increase security at the cottages. I'll turn first to Robert Pompey, our Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance, and Melody Pierce, our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, for an answer to that. I'm turning it over to the both of you there.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the question, and we'll allow Chief Cherry to speak about the safety component. First of all, we do not own the cottages, those apartments. Those apartments are owned by a separate company. We have been very aggressive at our university in apartment acquisitions over the last 5 years. We've purchased almost 7 apartments in the past 5 years and invested almost $200 million in these acquisitions, in part to provide housing opportunities for as many of our students as we can. We currently house about 52% of our full-time students. The national average is 40%. We have as many beds and more beds than other universities in our system that are twice our size. And it's all aimed at housing as many students as we can, and to not only provide the housing opportunities, but to also allow us to provide safety opportunities, because we can have a more active police presence in those areas. We continue to look for acquisition opportunities, especially where it's advantageous to our university, and we will definitely evaluate the cottages as a potential opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Pompey, and thank you, Chancellor, for your synopsis of the events as of late. Hello, everyone. My name is Jermaine Cherry. I serve as Chief of Police here at North Carolina A&T State University. And so I want to speak a little bit about the safety aspect of the cottages. I want you to know that the cottages are privately owned, and so therefore it's not the property of the university. However, we do realize that many of our students stay in that area. It's not only student housing, but they also rent to local Greensboro residents as well. So having this knowledge, what we've been doing is we've been in communications with the cottages management, talking with them about their security procedures, their security procedures, whether or not do they have security on site, whether or not do they have cameras on site. And so we've been speaking with them about their footprint in the area. What we have also done is spoken with the Greensboro Police Department as well, because basically it is their jurisdiction, right? And so, they are the police force within the city. And so we've been working with the Greensboro Police Department to put together a plan to assist Cottages management in enhancing their security presence at that location. And so we're doing everything that we can as a university police department, even though, that is not our area and we don't have jurisdiction there. And so we've also taken it upon ourselves to try to enhance our presence by virtue of us having property very near. I have instructed my officers and security to also keep an eye on that area as well. But what we can do is limited by virtue of that not being our property. Nevertheless, we're working with our partners. We've also brought in the Sheriff's Department, who is also assisting and have agreed to step up patrols in that area as well. And so even though this is not our property, we are going out on a limb to do everything we can as a university police department and as a university as a whole to try to help them address the security deficiencies in that area, because we do realize that we have precious commodity over there, and that precious commodity are our students.
So
Thank
Todd,
you, Chief.
let me add a little bit more
Sure.
to both Ms. Pompey and Chief Cherry's comments. There are two issues here. One is that is private property, but as Chief Cherry has suggested, he has amped up his patrol over that private property because a portion of the residents there are our students. Again, while we can't force the administrators of those properties to amp up their security, while we can encourage them to do so, if they elect not to do so by adding cameras or additional security personnel, we can encourage our students to live elsewhere. But our students continue to live in that space as well. And so what Chief Cherry is doing is increasing his security, not only around that space, but further and further away from our university, out into the community to push crime increasingly further away from our university. And so that's adding additional burden. And so we'll continue to add additional security personnel to his staff. The other is Mr. Pompey is working even more now to have discussions about whether we should seek to purchase those properties. Now, keep in mind, those properties in our minds are not up to our standards for properties we would want to own and make a part of our housing properties. So we may have to continue to push toward purchasing those, but we've given priority to all the other apartments around our university, and we now own most of those properties with an investment of about $200 million to make additional housing available to our campus. If we were to purchase the cottage, our most significant assessment is the most likely we would demolish those facilities and rebuild something else more substantial in their space because they do not, again, meet the expectations of properties that we would want to own to provide housing for our students. I just want to share that with our students and the families and our campus community as well.
Thank you, Chancellor. And that actually addressed some of the other questions in there. I think we've covered the waterfront on the cottages and all of the current relevant information on that. Let's move on to campus housing in general. We had several questions with regard to that. One person asked, would it be possible, what is A&T doing to expand housing for all students? Is the goal to build more housing on campus? Mr. Pompey, we'll come back to you for that one.
Sure, thanks, Todd. We continue to look at opportunities for acquisitions. We currently have 6,000 beds that we own when you look at our traditional residence halls in our apartment complexes. That's increased by 2,000 beds over the last 5 years. We are also in the planning stages of constructing a new residence hall that we expect to begin construction on this summer, with the overall goal of it taking about 18 to 24 months to add additional housing. That would be 400 more beds that we will add. So we understand that there is a demand for housing. We have been very aggressive in acquisition, and we will continue to be very aggressive in acquisition and also in the building of new residence halls.
I want to point out as well that our Office of Housing and Residence Life is holding housing fairs where students can come and have a look at some of the housing that we endorse, that we think is appropriate for our students to live in. And we can help students and parents review those housing options and in fact sign a lease on the spot for this fall if they choose to do that.
So let me make two
yes, sir.
additional points here, Todd, for clarity, because we continue to have this conversation about the need for additional housing. First, our housing capacity has grown almost twice as fast as our enrollment growth. So people keep suggesting, well, stop growing because you don't have housing, as an example, to accommodate the students. That's just simply not true. We have grown our housing stock rapidly, and we've made substantial investment of approximately $200 million to acquire these properties to make beds available to our students. And our housing growth has grown faster than most any other university in the UNC system. The other driving strategy for us has been that, unfortunately, 15 years ago or so, large numbers of developers came into East Greensboro and built a ton of student housing, not private apartment complexes for the general public, but lots of student housing, expecting to make a profit on the backs of our students renting their properties. These properties were all built with different standards of quality, different standards of technology available in them and the like. And they were all built with different levels of security technology built into keeping them all safe for our students. They were all with different managers and management groups and different lease contracts and arrangements for our students. So before we began to build additional beds on the campus proper, since many of our students wanted to be able to live in apartment style housing in close proximity to the university, we made a decision to repurpose our foundation to create a real estate foundation. And we decided to purchase all of these apartments around the university, student housing. We've sought to bring them all up to the same standards, create the same lease arrangements, and make them easier for access under the same lease agreement, and permitting our students to be able to use their financial aid to be able to utilize that housing where they were not able to do so before. Now that we have acquired most of those properties and made big investments to raise them to the same level of quality, safety, and technology availability, we're now looking to begin to build additional housing on the campus with the new 450-bed residence hall as well. We've been able to do this without charging additional fees, as many universities have done over the years to build residence housing for their students. This has not cost our students additional cost for that $200 million investment. We've been able to do that in a very significant way. So I don't want families and students and our campus community to misunderstand the very important strategy we've employed to bring additional housing to our campus community to meet the needs of our students and the interests of our students in living more in campus housing as opposed to living in housing out in the community.